Good afternoon. You may have heard of Rocky Jones. Perhaps you've seen his face on a poster at your school. Today we will bring you the story of a life and achievements of Burnley Rocky Jones, a fierce champion of racial equality and justice.
Jones was born in the small town of Truro, Nova Scotia. In those days, black people were not allowed to bowl at the local bowling alley or eat at certain restaurants in town. Also, there were no local examples of black people in positions of power. As a child, Rocky Jones never imagined that black people could become doctors or lawyers.
In 1959, Rocky Jones took a job driving a tractor-trailer in Toronto. 5 years later, Jones came across a group of white demonstrators outside of the American consulate. The protesters told him that the blacks in Alabama were being denied the right to vote and were being beaten by the police. Rocky Jones went home and later returned with his wife, Joan, and joined the protest.
Before he knew it, microphones were being pushed in his face and the media was asking him for his opinion. Jones had a natural talent for public speaking and quickly discovered that he was able to motivate groups. Jones quickly became known as Rocky the Revolutionary and Canada's Stokely Carmichael.
In 1965, Rocky Jones moved from Toronto to Halifax. Upon arriving in Halifax, Jones continued to fight against discrimination. One of the things he did was form Quacha House, a community group designed to address the problems facing people living in the inner city. Soon the RCMP began to spy on Jones. They even tapped into Jones' phone. It seems that the RCMP was worried that Jones was trying to encourage black people to rise up against the white majority in Halifax.
By the late 1960s, the Black Panther Party was gaining steam in the United States. The Black Panthers believed that black people should protect themselves and their communities by any means necessary. One of their leaders, Stokely Carmichael, had coined the term Black Power. Black Power was a belief opposite to Martin Luther King's belief in nonviolence.
Rocky Jones was intrigued by the Black Panthers and their message. In October of 1968, at a convention in Montreal, Jones met Stokely Carmichael, a man he admired. Carmichael, who died in 1998, was a very intense man who was under heavy surveillance by the FBI in the United States.
Rocky Jones told Carmichael that he should return with him to Nova Scotia after the convention. He believed that Carmichael could use a nice break. They could go fishing together and basically just enjoy some rest and relaxation. Carmichael agreed, and after the convention, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, Carmichael and his wife took a plane to Halifax.
Waiting for the party of four to get off the plane were many Halifax police officers who had been expecting them. As we said earlier, they had bugged Jones' phone. The police wanted to be sure they knew exactly what Jones and Carmichael were up to.
When the four friends arrived at the Jones home, the police were already outside waiting for them. Rocky Jones asked Carmichael if he'd like to go out for dinner, and they drove to the Arrows Club, a popular Halifax diner. Again, the police were there waiting for the group of social activists to arrive.
Quickly, news spread that the Black Panther was at the Arrows Club, and people began to show up. Some people were supportive of Carmichael, and others were angry at him and didn't want him around. To some, Carmichael was a threat to peace in Halifax. They feared that he may encourage a violent uprising in the black communities.
As you can see, the trip was not relaxing. Carmichael only stayed one night in Halifax before returning to the United States. During the 18-hour stay in Halifax, Carmichael and Jones were constantly photographed by the police and local media, even through the windows of Jones' home.
Rocky Jones founded Dalhousie University's Transition Year program in 1970. The program, which still exists today, is designed to increase the number of Mi'kmaq and Black students attending university. Since its creation, over 1,000 students from the program have gone on to become lawyers, nurses, and leaders in the Black and Aboriginal communities.
At one time, Jones owned jewelry stores in Micmac Mall and Scotia Square in Halifax. The jewelry store was designed to show that black-owned businesses could be successful, and it would also encourage white businesses in the mall to hire black employees.
Rocky Jones was not just an advocate for the rights of black people. He fought for the rights of all people who were facing discrimination. Jones was the executive director of a program called Real Opportunities for Prisoner Employment, which helped people find employment after being released from jail.
Jones graduated from Dalhousie Law School in 1992. 5 years later, he became the first African-Canadian lawyer to successfully argue a case in the Supreme Court of Canada. As a lawyer, Jones concentrated heavily on human rights cases.
In 2010, Jones was awarded the Order of Nova Scotia. Jones died in 2013 at the age of 71. He will always be remembered as someone who was not afraid to take a stand against injustice. His dream was that future generations will continue his fight and force positive changes in our world.